Hello friends, welcome back to Everdeen. It is finally feeling like summer here in the garden, and it has been so long because it is now late June and it's just now, this last week or so, started to feel warm and summery outside, and I'm so happy that we have finally reached that point. But it does mean that it is time for me to make a dark confession to you all. Something that I've been hiding a little bit because I was a little bit ashamed of myself because I haven't done any work in the garden this year. Like literally zero. I know that's bad. I know that things have gotten out of control. This may sound like not that much of a guilty secret, but when you see the state that the garden is in, it's pretty bad. I know that the time has come for me to rectify this error in my ways and my life choices. So today we're going to be working in the garden. We're going to be mainly cleaning up, mowing and pulling weeds and just trying to rectify the fact that I have not done any of that so far this year. I also did not prune the grapevines this year because I just wasn't here at all during grapevine season. There's a specific season you're supposed to prune grapevines in. So I'm not going to prune them now because it's just too late in the year, but I am going to just like trim them up a little tiny bit just to keep them from being out of hand. And then the most important thing we're doing today is that there is an invasive vine that has turned up. And if you're from the South in the US, you definitely know what kudzu is. And you know to fear kudzu from the depths of your soul. If you're not from the South in the US, kudzu is this vine that like when you're driving down the highway, you'll see building shape mounds of leaves. And that's a building that has been entirely consumed by kudzu. There's an old joke that the correct way to plant kudzu is to drop a seed on concrete and run because it just takes over the world. And while we do not have kudzu here, there is a vine that is taking over the world in the garden. And I looked it up online and it is related to kudzu. So things are dire. Anyway, today is going to be all about removing the vine, cleaning up the garden, and getting it in an enjoyable state where we can use it this summer and have a nice time outdoors. Is this going to be too big of a goal for one day? Probably. I've allotted 2 days of work to do this. I don't know if that's going to be enough. All right, this is the time where I have to admit to my wrongdoings and show you how out of control things have gotten. In my defense, it was freezing cold and raining every day up until about 2 weeks ago. The spring has been non-existent. The spring has just been a continuation of winter this year. It's been very unusual. So I'll put that as my reason for just not having dealt with this situation at all. I also have to admit to you, as we go around the corner here, that the back garden is even worse, which I did not realize. Again, in my own defense, I did not realize until I had to take workmen around back here to show them something that they need to work on. There's a little place on the roof that needs repair. And when I saw what was going on back here, which I did not know about, I'd like to reiterate, it was really embarrassing. So all of this needs to be cleaned out, mowed, attacked. And then here is this damn invasive vine. The good news is it's quite easy to just pull out. The bad news is it tends to come back. Well, I was going to start by mowing the front lawn here, but I think I'm going to have to start by clipping back some of this tree because I don't want to have to do that crawl through the tree every time I go in and out to get tools from the garage. So first step, getting the tree under control, or at least cutting a tunnel through it. And second step will be doing some mowing. sir, but you have to go. All right, I'm gonna put you where you'll be safe. That was so much weed whacking followed by so much raking. The raking is actually harder than just getting the grass down. But it is in a manageable pile now. I'm going to leave the pile in the middle of the garden for the moment because I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of cleanup weed whacking. I usually have to with just spots that I'll see in the next couple of days that I've missed. In the meantime, while I was excavating the front garden, I noticed a few little projects that need to be done garden-wise out here. The first one is I need to trim this rose bush, which just, I can see it wants to thrive. It's got some little buds, it's got some new leaves, but I think the dead sections are holding it back. So we're gonna cut those off. And then there's a few other little things that I noticed while I was up here. I'll show you right now. It's a little hard to see on the camera, but this right here is the dead stump. This is not a live part. This is a weed growing around it. That's the dead stump of one of the beautiful Caryopteris bluebeard bushes that we have in our bluebeard hedge here. And this one, I'm going to say was murdered by one Jerry Chapman, who stepped on it several times, Dad. It's the sad evidence of your crimes. Actually, I do know he did murder one, but I can't say with certainty that this was a victim of the dreaded Jerry Chapman. So, on the opposite end of the plant success spectrum is this rose bush that I found. It was literally like, if that was the whole bush, it was that big when I found it tucked under some other plants in the back garden. I think it's the child of one of the roses back there. And I just thought I'd plant it in this little stone pot that was here already to see how it did. And it's doing so great. Look how many blooms it has. It's really happy. That's really nice. I'm very happy with that. And in the same vein of gardening success, this little guy that I planted the first spring I was here, so 2 years ago. Wow, that's already 2 years ago. I thought had died, and on many occasions I thought that he had died, and he's still making it. So good job, little plant. Keep alive. Look how big he is. Actually, look, if you look over here, that's another bloom from the same plant. So he's doing actually really well. I'll get the weeds out from around him so he can have even more opportunities to grow. I also noticed that, as always, we have just loads of wild strawberries popping up all on their own. They're so tiny, but so delicious. I mean, look at that. It's just so bright red and so yum. It's just the strongest strawberry taste that I've ever tasted. For some reason, these little strawberries just really pack a wallop of flavor. This rose bush is doing very well. It's making the biggest, like, dark pink roses. They are just fat and gorgeous. It looks like there's a lot more on the way. There's a lot of buds. That's a very happy rose bush. I'm very pleased. And they're just so big and fluffy. Oh, look at them. I'm a little sad with these roses because this bush blooms earlier, and at a certain time in the late spring it is just heavy with big pink clusters of roses like these, and I've just missed it this year because I've been gone so much in the spring. I've just missed the prime blooming moment of this bush. I'll just have to wait for next year. You know, another thing I can do out here is tie this grapevine up onto that wire. I've been trying to get them to grow along the front of the house, and that big long strand on the bottom, if I tie it up on the wire, it's going to go a long way to getting them all the way across the front of the house. So I'm trying to cut my way back here through the path going back to the back garden. I think that's gonna be my next project, is to start clipping and clearing this path. But as I turn the corner of the house, I'm seeing the first bits of the invasive vine. You can see it right there. So I'm gonna have to pull that out. It's all up in this grapevine, which is not okay. That definitely has to go. I am a little worried about this vine because it seems to just keep popping up, and I'd like to stay on top of it to keep it from being so pervasive, but with my job, with having to travel to perform in different shows as a freelance artist, it's really hard to be here enough to really stay on top of things like this. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I mean, this is probably, if we're honest, a job that's gonna get outsourced to the helpers, my parents, when they're here. But then after they go home at the end of the summer, I don't know what we're gonna do. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to take a break because it's starting to rain. It's really sunny, but it's plopping down rain. I don't know if you can hear it. So I guess I'll go inside, have a break, work on something else, and see if the rain goes away. Well, the rain seems to have stopped and it's cooled things down a little bit, which is really nice. So I guess I'm going to continue on cutting my way towards the back garden. All right, we're making a lot of progress, but I think my last project for the day is going to be this tree right here, which unfortunately did not survive the winter. It has died, and I'm going to try to chop it up and get it out. It's not that big, so hopefully that shouldn't be too hard. I think I've reached the point in that tree where I'm gonna have to get some bigger tools. I got almost all the small branches out. It's just the three big main branches that are left. So I think we need a saw or something to cut those a little better than my little hand clippers. But I think it's time for me to call it a day in the garden here because it's starting to get sunset-ish and I'm gonna go in and make myself some dinner. But before I do that, I'm gonna show you what I've accomplished here because I am so happy with it. I got so much farther than I thought I would. In fact, I'm gonna say, apart from one little corner back there, I'm gonna say that everything is cleared out. I think that that's pretty much it. There's still some weeds that need to be pulled, but the main part of the work is done, which is very surprising because I didn't think I was going to get that far. Anyway, let's have a walkthrough and I'll show you what I mean. So first, I want to show you this massive pile. This is all the stuff that I've cleared out. It is above waist high on me, and I am very tall, so this is a big pile. I am astounded that I was able to get this much out today. Here is the front lawn. Nice and mowed. All the weeds are pulled. I did leave the brush piles on the front lawn for now. I'm going to move them tomorrow. I'm just too tired to deal with that for the moment. But big difference. You can actually see the rose bushes now and the Caryopteris bushes. So huge difference. Very happy. And now let's head back to the back garden. So remember that earlier at the beginning of this video, this was impossible to walk through. It was so overgrown. But now the nice, lovely path is back. I love this little path. I love walking back through here. I love these little pink flowers on this bush, which we can actually see now because we can actually come back here. Huge difference. Another thing that we can see, I'll show you guys right here, is the raspberry vine. There is some weeding that needs to be done here. I might try to tackle that tomorrow, but there's a bunch of raspberries. This vine grows the thickest, plumpest, juiciest, tastiest raspberries I've ever had. So I need to figure out how to enjoy them, whether just to eat them off the vine or try to make some kind of jam or something. Then we're turning the corner that you can actually see. You can see the corner. This is something that I've mentioned in a few videos, and now is a good time to show you guys. This is the water evacuation from the first floor bathroom that's just up there. Right now, that bathroom, anytime you have a bath in there or use the sink in there, the water is coming right out here, down this pipe, and off into the garden. So this is one of the big plumbing issues that we need to fix. We're not really sure what to do about it. I say we like I know what I'm doing. Laurent is not really sure what to do about it because it's on the opposite side of the house from the sewer connection. So it's going to be really complicated to take a pipe all the way to the opposite side of the house. So this is a conundrum we are trying to figure out. But moving on to triumph, because the garden is clear. I can walk through it. I can see my plants. This is amazing. Again, I really didn't think I was going to get this far today. I also pulled that invasive vine out of everything I could find it on. So this grapevine is now just a grapevine. It's no longer vine on vine on vine. And the irises are vine free. This big rose bush is vine free. I think that that's really going to help all of those plants because I don't think they enjoyed having the vine. Another thing I discovered today is this little cherry tree. This is a little baby, I'm going to presume, from this cherry tree. I need to come back and prune these cherry trees because they're a little unhealthy. And I need to transplant this little guy because I would like to try to get him to grow somewhere else on the property. I'm not sure where, but I don't want to just cut him down. I want to put him somewhere so he'll become a big cherry tree. And then we're moving back. And I can even walk all the way to the back wall. There's still that little corner. I didn't tackle that because I need to wear something long sleeve and it was really hot today because that is all brambles back there. But everything else is nice and clear and accessible, at least walkway wise. Now it's just a matter of pulling weeds. I am feeling pretty darn pleased with myself because I didn't think that I was going to get through this much today. I really thought this was going to be like a week-long project, and it's not 100% finished. There's still some things to do. There's a lot of weeds that still need to be pulled, but I think for the most part, we can call this a finished project. I think that I've cleared out everything that like really desperately needed to be cleared, and I've pulled out all of the invasive vine that I could find, and I've maybe saved the plants that were a little bit in danger from that vine and from the weeds. So I'm counting it as a win, and I think it is time for me to enjoy my win and go inside and drink some wine and have some dinner, and most importantly, have a shower because I feel disgusting. Anyway, before I do that, I'll just remind you guys to please do subscribe. And if you are not subscribed yet, subscribing will keep you up to date with all the stuff that's going on here, all the different projects we're doing, which are a lot of projects, so many. And if you are subscribed, maybe just double check that you're still subscribed, because apparently YouTube likes to unsubscribe people from channels for no apparent reason lately. So double check on that. And if you're down there, you maybe could hit the thumbs up button as well. That'd be pretty nice. And there's also a link to our Patreon down there. And I just want to say, as usual, a big thank you to our patrons, because you guys are so helpful. All the money from Patreon goes directly into Everdeen, into buying stuff for Everdeen, into working on Everdeen. And you guys are just making this possible. So if you're interested in being a patron, the link is down there. You can see all the little goodies and extras that patrons get. And yeah, please take a minute to check it out. And with that, I'm going to run, not walk, towards the shower. And I will see you guys next time.